3, Chapter 14, Jack Perrin, Mystery of the UFO. Okay, so now we have the notes of the author. Okay, so this that I'm going to talk now is the data that the bulletin called GPA got further information on what I talked about the case, guys. So we can make a brief summary of the several interviews and the diversity of the information united by Jose. He's got 24 years of age. He's single. He has 11 brothers and sisters. One of them has passed away. He's the second son of the family. His father is still alive. His mother has passed away. He has primary incomplete schooling. He is in the military police for 5 years in the state of Minas Gerais. He's got a constitution and a healthy look. His economic and social basically, he's a modest person. He lives with his family in the outskirts of the city in a house that he helped build, and the land he offered it to his brothers and his sisters. In his house, he has initiative and resolves most of his problems to do with his family. The people that he socializes and his superiors treat him as a very trustworthy person. Outside of his work that he likes a lot, he doesn't have many distractions. He's very religious, but doesn't try and convert others. He's not part of any cult or any religious group, but he practices religion very he's very religious. His father also recognizes that he takes almost all initiatives at home and he compliments them. He affirms that he's friend of everybody and he has no addictions. The symptoms observed after his return. Other than the other symptoms that we already told you before, the 3 marks on his shoulders, on the back of his head, and the swelling on his right knee. Our man also had other symptoms. On the day of his return, everybody noted that he was very slim. He was malnourished, and with beard, a little bit of the beard grew. He also noticed that he had difficulties walking, small appetite, and heard him crying for 1 week because of the pain that he had on his intestines. A month after his first narration, we heard him complaining about some burnings on his eyes, accompanied by a weakening of his capabilities on his eyes, so he wasn't watching very good. Afterwards, he told us that he had intermittent abdominal pains localized in a certain spot below the womb and transversely to this one. When these pains would manifest, he would also have headaches in his frontal region, which would worsen his burns on his eyes, that he cried very often. He would tell us that the sensation that he has on his eyes was the same as the sensation he had on the ship when the light increased in intensity. He is sure that after the experience, he lost some eyesight capabilities. He looks a little bit alarmed because this never happened to him before. Even his family concurs that before he had good health. When we suggested that he would let us examine him in hospital, he responded to us that he would not do it to avoid that they would think that this was a way for him to miss on his professional duties. With time, the symptoms got better and eventually disappeared. Reconstitution of the incident on the morning of the 26th, we went to Bebedouro, the place of the incident, accompanied by Jose. There were a few testimonies, even from the military police. The two, the commander and the second commander, were there too. Um, After they took photos of the place, he was the incident was reconstituted by the soldier from the episode of his capture near the stream of water to his forced introduction to the device. During the reconstruction, the reactions of the soldier were very coherent with the narrative made by him. We, the rest of the time that we were there, we went to ask a few habitants of the place that we were finding. And we asked if they had seen any aerial unidentified objects. They most of them answered positively. One boy even referred to the device that was in high altitude and looked like a umbrella moving in silence. On the return, um, when we saw Jose, we wanted to know the motive of his preoccupation. After a lot of resistance, he told us that he was very worried about the green liquid that he had drank and he had put that had put him under the dominion of the beings, because these beings were appearing to him on his garden at home. He added that um, at about midnight on the 21st of May, he was lying down. He felt a big need to go to the garden and see how his goats were. Um, and so he did that. He then had a surprise to see three little men immobile on their suits of flight, looking at him. An automatic reaction made him turn and walk and run to his house and close the door with locks and keys. He didn't even want to hear them or talk with them. When we asked him why was his reaction, he answered, "They think that I'm gonna work against my people." Followed by this, he added that the beings could present a future threat to all of us, to the planet Earth, but because he wasn't sure of the danger of these individuals or others unknown, he was he was opening a door to maybe meet with them, with these beings again, to sort this situation. Either way, he knew that the world was in big risk, even though he didn't knew from where this risk was coming from. Maybe this big risk had been revealed by the blonde individual that appeared mysteriously on the living room without the others, the beings, having seen him. The danger to the whole humanity is certain, and it would make these beings maybe intervene on other calamities. Therefore, the risk could be avoided if humanity changed their behavior on the present time. We noticed that after this last discussion, Jose showed himself very discreet, and he almost wanted to keep it a secret. On another of our posterior discussions with Jose, when we got to his place, he took the initiative of the conversations in these terms: "Professor, until now you have made me questions, and I have answered, but today is my turn to make you a few questions and I would like you to answer. After this, uh, be, um, after my positive reaction, he made me a few questions showing some difficulty in expressing himself. He said, is there a device that doesn't appear to be a device? I asked him to make me the question again in order for me to understand better. He tried, but he wasn't able. Therefore, we asked him, "What do we have in mind when you make this question?" He answered us that in one of his last nights, about 10 o'clock at night, he felt the need to go to the little mountain nearby his house so that he could meditate. And after he walked for a few minutes up high in the little mountain, about 300 meters from the nearby houses, he saw a luminous yellow streak of light. It intrigued him. This light was going down on the south part of the corral in the south of Belo Horizonte, in that direction, without making any noise, and it decreased its velocity on the descent, and it stopped for about 10 meters, making several vertical and horizontal movements. It had a spherical form about 30 centimeters in diameter, and it looked like it was being driven by someone, even though it wasn't similar to the one that he had traveled. A few minutes later, the luminous ball went away, disappearing in the direction that it had come from. So, this guy seems to be an orb that he saw. Is it possible to communicate with ETs? On this case of Jose, after his interpretation, he would have gone to a sort of a training of 7 years to live with these beings. At the end of this time, he would come back to Earth with new instructions. Apparently, the foreigners weren't very serious on their intentions, even though he had reappeared at the soldier's house without making him make a decision. We can almost say that the soldier was in big risk. The problem was his and the solution depended on him. It wouldn't be a valid argument to say that the Jose would reveal any secrets to the extraterrestrials. First, because a simple soldier doesn't know the big military secrets, nor the deficiencies of our terrestrial forces, aerial or maritime. In second place, the men of bebedouro wouldn't say anything to the ETs that they wouldn't already know. Even more on the contrary, for us, it was important that the soldier would bring informations to the evolved world that he had visited. Even then, could have even been that later on the superiors of the soldier at a government level could also have contacts. So it could be said that, okay, I didn't understand this very well. Um, okay, guys, so this is the case. Okay, guys, so at the end, he's also saying something, guys. I just understood. The soldier, the investigation at the end says that the soldier could have said to his family that during his absence, even though he was supposed to be on his normal, habitual working at the military police, he could be on a very important and official mission, and the military would hide his reason for that. They also say that the UFO existence hasn't been officially recognized. So this this could be used kind of like kind of it wouldn't be worthy in court because of the non recognition. Okay, so guys, so only going to talk about, we're gonna go do the chapter 15 as well because it's half a page and it says, um, just wait a second. Chapter 15, confirmation of the different concepts of time, extracted from the bulletin of Dr. Buller on the Rio de Janeiro on the 15th of April 1968. Mario Restier, now with the age of 40 years old, countermaster on a very important siderurgical company, had two experiences about 17 and 12 years ago. On his first one, he had a journey to a planet, maybe on the system of Orion, on board of a device accompanied by beings of a humanoid aspect that made him go into a sort of a bathtub full of a liquid, only having his mouth and nose on the outside of this liquid. He was told that this was to protect him from the radiations and to eliminate emotions and to feed him. Mr. Restier passed away straight away, and he only came to himself a little bit before he landed, just at the end of the journey. He thinks that the companions of the journey must have been a sort of robots, very perfect because after the landing, the real inhabitants of the planets that where he landed, the real inhabitants of the planet were much taller, about 1 meter 0.8 meters high, and they were very beautiful. When he turned himself to compare with the partners on board, he saw them all buried on a seat and kind of bending forward like they were dead or had been put off circuit, switched off. The alien beings showed him 4 to 5 industries and an open air museum in a sort of a in a sort of study study division. He explained him that some of the technical aspects of their civilization, and just like the propulsion of their spaceships through graphs and maps, certain details on the report of Mr. Restier are weird. He had to dress the same clothing as them, a sort of a Roman skirt with a big bar and strung with cords connected to the shoes with electric cables. Mario thinks that that should be to counteract gravity. Guys, I'm going to talk quickly about this. Remember Dolly on her shows? She talked already about the Anunnaki having some sort of electric cables going down their feet to ground themselves with the spaceship. Okay, guys, remember that? Let's go back to the story. Even though he was walking on the ground, meanwhile, his companions were doing jumps with about 10 meters high. The strangest thing was that when Mario returned home after his absence of 3 days, he thought that his father received him very furious, as if asking him, "Why have you been out 4 months without telling us anything?" He was incredulous at start. His father ended up believing on his story when Mario showed him a sort of a tissue, very resistant, although very thin and transparent, even though he asked him not to tell his adventure to anyone. When he had his second experience, Mario wasn't on board the ship, but he talked with the occupants that this time weren't the robots. When Mario asked them the reason for the difference in time noted on the first time, they told him that that was related to the synchronism of time and contraction, shrinking of space. Bless you, my people. The aliens are almost here, guys. Trust me. Love you very much. Love you very much, my people.